Yes, please.
We are live. Hello. How are you today, Ma?
Good evening, ma'am. Very well. And you?
How are you today, Ma? Very well, thank you. I'm super excited that you are here. Very excited that you are here. And today I believe it's going to be fire. It's going to be one session we don't want to miss. Yes, and I'm so happy to have you. I'm so happy. One of the things that make me so excited to be speaking with you today is that you are a Montessorian, and you are not just a Montessorian by title. You are a Montessorian by experience, and so it's an honor to have you. So I believe that whatever we're going to be discussing here today is going to be a beautiful experience for all of us. It's going to be one experience that none of us wants to miss. It's going to be one experience that we all are going to benefit from. Our guest speaker, I will be bringing her on stage pretty soon. Yes, I'll bring it up. Miss Patience, I know you cannot. I will be adding you on stage very soon. Right? So feel free. Um, Today is going to be a beautiful session, and we are talking about the philosophy of Montessori, right? Beyond the name, beyond the experience some of us might have had. Some people have had experiences like we feel that Montessori is just having children in a preschool and having toys. Yes, some of us feel so. I will be bringing these patients up soon. All right. And so some of us feel that, okay, some of us feel that Montessori is about the color, the building, the diction, and what have you. But today, we are having a special guest of honor who is going to speak to us about what real Montessori is. He's going to be sharing a few of our experiences. And I believe that this session is one that you need to tell somebody to be on. It's not something that you should just be on. So I want to start by saying clap for yourselves. Yes, appreciate yourself for being here. And if you have not told somebody about it, it is very good that you tell somebody about it, especially for those who are confused about what Montessori is, those who have just half knowledge of Montessori, maybe from the videos they see people showing around, or those who feel that Montessori is for lazy people. Children who experience Montessori are quite lazy. Children who experience Montessori are one kind, wild, whatever. So we want to decipher, we want to break down what Montessori is, and today is day one. Today is our first day. All right, so I'm so excited because I know you are going to be going through a journey of a lifetime, a journey of understanding, a journey of wisdom. By the way, I didn't introduce myself. My name is TOLULOPE Albert, and I am going to be the host, your host, right? And the first session with Miss Patience JEPHTHAH is going to be a wow. So join me as I welcome Miss Patience to our live studio. Yes, good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. How
Hello.
are you doing,
Yes, ma'am.
ma'am?
Good evening. Thank you. Very well, thank you. I'm excited to have
Oh,
you.
wow.
I have witnessed your journey, and I'm happy that you are doing great for yourself, good for the children around you. And I'm glad because I know that it's going to be one experience that I cannot forget. Yes, so we are going to open the floor now for you because of time. So we're coming in. We're going to send them to you. Can you see me? Can you hear me clearly?
Very well. Clearly. Clearly.
All right, so you have the
Clearly, ma'am.
floor. So we welcome you. You have the floor.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. I feel just so honored to be in this program. Thank you, Mrs. Tolulope Albert. Thank you for having me as your guest speaker for
Sure.
today's
You're
program.
welcome.
Yeah, and I welcome everyone who is watching us live. It's going to be an interesting show so far. So I urge every one of us to just sit down tight and listen, and you will definitely gain something before this program ends. Okay, my name is Miss Patience JEPHTHAH, and I'm going to be your guest speaker for today's program. So I welcome you all once again to Inside Montessori with TOLULOPE Albert. Now, on this session, we'll be looking at the topic that says, without wasting our time, the topic that says Montessori is not just a method, okay? It's a way of life. The word might seem so questionable, okay? But believe me, as you sit to listen, you will understand why I said Montessori is just not a method, but a way of life, okay? Now, in this section, for today's section, we will be looking at some important points. We'll talk about who Maria Montessori is. We've often been hearing who Montessori, what's it all about? So we're going to start with the pioneer of this particular side of the education, or the system of the education, which it's a kind of education that enhances learning. So we're looking at that very woman who was Maria Montessori, okay? And next we move forward to the philosophy of Montessori and that of the traditional education, okay? And next we'll be looking at the concept of the whole child, what the child is all about, what enhanced learning, okay? So we're looking at the whole child, and we'll look at respect for the child. It is necessary. To you might be thinking, respect for the child. How do we go about it? It's an interesting one when it comes to the education system. Okay, that's what Maria Montessori says. The Montessori system is centered on the child. Okay, so you have to give that respect to the child. That child deserves respect. Okay, not only at home and also in school. Now we'll look at independence as a goal of education. Independence as a goal of education. I will also look at prepared adults and the controlling adults. Prepared adults and the controlling adults. Who is that prepared adult and who is that controlling adult? So I urge all of us to sit down, listen. Don't just sit down and listen as a parent. Don't just sit down and listen as a teacher. Don't just sit down and listen as a guardian. But I want you to listen as one who is ready to unlearn and learn. Okay? So on our agenda, the first part we'll be talking about, we'll look at who is Maria Montessori. Okay, I'd rather use the word was because she is late now. So who was Maria Montessori? Now, Maria Montessori happens to be a scientist. Okay? Not only being a scientist, she is a medical personnel. You can see her venturing into places. She never sits down, she never restricts her understanding, she never restrict her knowledge. She broadens it. Okay? So she is a scientist and she is a medical personnel. And above all, there's this part of her that I love. She is a deep observer. Yes. She is a deep observer. And when we say someone is a deep observer, it means that person is one person that pays attention with intention. When one is a deep observer, definitely you are paying attention with intention. That was who Maria Montessori is. Now, if everyone gets to see a child as, let me use the word, as an empty vessel, Do you know what Maria Montessori sees those a child, that kind of child like? She sees she sees and that particular child you sees as an empty vessel. She gets to see that child as one useful one. Okay, she don't just see that child as an empty vessel, but she sees that child as one vessel that needs to be filled rather. Okay, she sees that child that you see as an empty vessel as a flame that needs to be light. She does not believe you have to force a child to do a particular thing. Okay, let me use the four wall of the classroom rather. She does not believe you are to force a child to write. You are to force a child to do a particular thing. She believes you should look into that child, understand that child. As the teacher or the guardian, you should be able to observe the child to know when the child is prepared for a particular thing. Otherwise, you will just be wasting your time. If the child is not properly observed, you might be wasting your child with that. You might be wasting your time with that child. So Maria Montessori believed you should observe the child before making any move. Okay? And this our observation has really helped to flip the education system in the sense that she helps us to understand that it is not all about memorizing. It's not better you go concrete with a child before abstract. What do I mean concrete with a child before abstract? At least you learn with materials before taking the child to the four wall of the classroom and start jotting some things on the board and say this is A, this is B, this is R, this is at least that child have to see it. That child just have to feel that particular thing you are trying to pass to them. Do you understand? So she believed that learning is not all about memorizing. Learning is not all about controlling the child. Okay? Learning is not all about shouting. Okay? There are better ways to capture that child in your control. There are better ways to capture the attention of that child to the lesson you want to deliver. That's why she said she does not believe the philosophy of Maria Montessori does not believe that you have to force a child to be there. Okay? All you need to do as a guardian, as a teacher, observe that child. And you see, with this principle of philosophy of Maria Montessori, it has really helped to build a child in the four wall of the classroom. And as a teacher, it has really helped to manage that child when it comes to learning in the classroom. Okay? So that has been the impact of Maria Montessori in the education system. Now that's Maria Montessori for us and a philosophy. Now let's look into the whole child. What does it mean when we say it's the whole child? Now one thing about Montessori is this. Montessori does not just believe we are to build the education part of the child. We are to build the academic side of the child. Montessori believe in building the totality of a child. Yes, that golden child in your class. The principle of Maria Montessori does not believe is just building the brain of the child. No, it goes a long way. Learning goes a long way. Okay? So Maria Montessori believed that education does not just end at academic aspect. It goes a long way. If you are building a child, you must help to build the intellectual part of that child. What do I mean by the intellectual part of the child? When you talk about intellectual, you talk about the brain. Okay? And when we talk about the brain, we are talking about, did you get, do you have to look at or listen or observe how the child thinks, how the child reason? And so all these things are put into consideration when learning takes place. We look at Maria Montessori urged us to look at the intellectual aspect, and it also helps us, teaches us to look on the spiritual aspects. Yes, it's all the principle also urge us to look at. It also helps us urge us to look at the physical aspects. Yes, how the child moves. Okay, how the child is able to coordinate his or herself. Okay, and it also helps us to it all just to look at the emotional aspect of the child. How confident is that child? Okay, and so those are the things Maria Montessori has considered into learning, not just the academic aspect. She urged us to look into every aspect of the child, the whole aspect of the child. And if you look into every aspect of that child, you will be able to build the totality of that child. It's an important aspect in academics. So the philosophy of Maria Montessori believe you should touch every aspect of the child. Now let me bring something to your table. Now a child that can read so fast or that started reading on time, if that child lacks courage, I'll tell you, if the child lacks courage, and I'll show you a child that education has not really started with. If a child starts reading, if a child can read and still lack courage to defend whatsoever he or she has read, education has not started taking place. Do you know why I said so? Or do you know why the principal said so? Now, if a child picks up a material, a textbook to read, okay? If you call that child back and give that child that same textbook on another page, that child should be confident enough to still go through that new page you're giving to that child without you trying to pronounce 1 and 2 for the child. Okay? And that child should be confident enough to ask question when he or she ought to ask question. That's why one of our principles says, if a child can read and lack courage, and still lack courage, proper learning has not taken place. Real education has not taken place in that child's life. That's what Maria Montessori believed. When it comes to education, please do help to build the totality of the child, not just education alone. Touch every aspect of that child. And what are the aspects that makes the whole child? Like I said earlier, I said the spiritual aspect, the intellectual aspect, the emotional aspect, and the physical aspect. So if we are deep observer like Maria Montessori in the four wall of our classroom as a teacher at home, we should look into this aspect that makes the child. That's an important part that makes the child, that helps to build the child, that helps to build confidence in a child. Montessori is an interesting one. Okay, Montessori has really helped the education system as far as I am concerned as a Montessorian. When I was a traditional teacher, the Montessori pattern looks to me like a thing of play. Now, do you understand that one of uh, our theory says, or philosophy says, play is the work of a child. When you bring play method into it, into the lesson, it tells the child. It makes learning easy for such child. It's not every time you take the child to the classroom and write, write, you must write, write, you must write. No, darling, it goes beyond that. If you move from the concrete to abstract, it will help that child. Okay? So the emotional aspect, the spiritual aspect, the physical aspect, and the intellectual aspect makes the whole of a child. Okay? So without wasting our time, let's look at another key point in the Montessori philosophy that makes us to understand that Montessori is not just a method, but a way of life. Okay? It's not just a method, but a way of life. It's an interesting one if you only pay attention, if you only observe, if you only listen to that child. Okay? So without wasting our time, let's look at one of the key points that really piques my attention. Respect for the child. Hmm. Respect for the child. You know, during my training period, when my directress mentioned this aspect, I was like, I am the teacher in that class. So what brought about respect for the child? How is that possible? Why should I be the one to respect the child? Why not reverse be the case? After all, it's my class. It's my class, so why should I? Well, do you know one thing, darling? Now, there's something that kills. There are some children that are active in the class. Not only in the class, at home. But now, let's look at it as from the educating aspect. As a teacher, we have the hyperactive ones in the class. Now, if you continuously pick on that child, like, hey, you, shush, you talk too much, you don't sit at the place, you don't listen when I ask you to listen, rather, fellow educators, parents, we will be killing the better part of that child. Now, these children, there's something they have inside of them. They have this, what we call this inner teacher, still driving them, still telling them what they want to do. Not what you as the teacher want them to do at that moment. What the inner teacher want them to do is what they want to do at that moment. Okay? And so we have to look into this aspect carefully. That's why one of our principles says we must respect those children under our watch. We have to respect those children under our watch. In the sense that we have to listen to them when they speak. You don't shush them, you don't shut them up. Okay? When they come to you, they have something to tell you, just give them a listening ear. Let them finish what they have to say to you. Then if it gets to a point, if it gets to that place where you need to correct the child, it's wise you do so. But when you want to correct such child, kindly correct in love, says Maria Montessori. As an educator, as a Montessorian, I am speaking from experience. Correct that child in love, and that child will listen to you. Okay? Now, do not interrupt the child unnecessarily. Yes, the child wants to talk. Shut your mouth. Shush. Okay? And do not humiliate that child. When a child do not do well in class, do not raise a song like in the traditional school. We when I was in that setting or in that system, there's this song they do sing for those that don't perform well. They'll get to sing Olodo Rabata, Oju Ejialo Monche, something like that. Do you know you are actually killing something inside that child? You are killing that self-confidence in that child, thereby damaging the learning aspects of that child. Because once you sing such to that child will want to be like, let me shush my mouth. I don't know what I will say now, and I don't know the next song they will sing for me. Why not believe in that child? Why not look at that child? Why not observe that child? Why not tell that child that you can do it? You can do better than you've just done. Okay? You can do better than you've just done. And do not compare a child to another. Yes, that's the mistake we often make when I was teaching in traditional school. Do not compare any child to another. Okay? Maria Montessori believed that any unnecessary movement like that kills the learning skill of the child. Okay? It kills the learning skill of the child. And do not be quick to give that child any unnecessary help. Yes. Don't be quick to give the child unnecessary help. If you keep helping the child, at what point will the child understand that my fine motor skill is to lift up an object in a particular way? When will that child in your class understand that this is how I'm to lift my seat and not the other way around? Teach them. Observe them do same as you taught them in class. Believe in them. Do not look down on them. Okay? Maria Montessori believed that, to me, one of our principles that I've learned is that respect is a foundation of building a child's confidence. Yes, respect is not just politeness. She sees it as a positive way of development in a child's life. As well as a teacher, you have to respect that child for every learning you deliver in class to be well perfected. But if you keep raising your voice at that child, if you keep yelling at that child, if you keep humiliating that child, get ready to get a negative feedback because you are really killing something inside of the child. Okay? No unnecessary interruption, no unnecessary help, no comparison, no humiliation. That's what Maria Montessori. And I have often applied it in my lessons, in my class, and it's working perfectly well. Now look at a child in my class, okay? There is this day the child was playing rough, and I had to call the child, hey, boy, come here. I'm not going to allow you to play today. You play so rough, and I don't like it. And you are disturbing others in the class. In love, I corrected the child. But at that point in time, the child became moody. In his mind, I was watching him. I never said anything more than that. I was observing his mood. So for some period of time, the child did not talk in class. But if you look at his look, you will know that this child is thinking of something inside of him. So I never bothered asking him because I know that that's a Montessori child. That child will definitely hear his mind later because of the freedom given to them. Okay? But we made them to understand that freedom is there's limitation to that freedom and they understand. So observing a child in the classroom, never spoke to anybody, but was keeping a thinking face. So at the point the child walked up to me, do you know what he told me? The child told me, "Teacher Patience, I don't like you anymore." So I was like, I allowed him to speak. So I was giving him a smile and look. So I was like, okay, you don't like me anymore? That's fine. So it was like, and I won't let you teach me anymore. You won't be my teacher anymore. When I get him, I'm going to tell Mama that you're not going to be my teacher anymore. So immediately was done with what he wanted to tell me. So I drew him close to me and I was like, okay, don't want me to be your teacher anymore. Can you please tell me why? And the boy was like, you told me not to play. And I love to play. So I was like, okay, I said you shouldn't play. What was the last word attached to that don't play? He said, rough. He said, yes, rough. You might get injured. Okay? So I sat him down, I was like, to play is different, and to play rough is another ball game entirely. Okay? You were playing rough, and I don't like it. Each time I see you play rough, you break my heart. You might sustain injury. Do you want to sustain injury? And he said, no, please. So I said, okay, go back to your seat. Listen, I never said sorry to that child. I just said, since you don't want to get injured, go back to your seat. And immediately he came back to me. He was like, so if I should play rough, I'm going to sustain injury. I said, yes. And he was like, I'm sorry, Teacher Patience. I will not play rough again. And I will not get in my uniform again. And I'll always listen to you when you say I'll see that. And you are going to be my teacher. Did you see? No yelling, no humiliation, no singing any negative song to that child. I only drew that child close to me and I gave the child a word of correction and make the child see reasons why he shouldn't play rough. And on his own, he came apologizing. That's why Maria Montessori says, as an educator, you should be a deep observer. She was a deep observer. That's why she was able to understand that that children are naturally intelligent. Reason being that they are born with what we call born wisdom. Sometimes they often do some things and you ask them, why? How did you do this? How come about this? I never told you to do this. I never. Do you understand? And you as a guardian or teacher or parent, you feel, wow, that's good. And Maria Montessori believed one thing again. She believed that children are naturally disciplined. They have it inside of them. It's a bit to a point in their life where they don't need to wait for your instruction. They don't need to wait for your threatening them to do one or two things. They don't wait for you to reward them before they do one or two things. Since they have this inner discipline, they intend to do things the way it's ought to be done in the classroom and even at home. Sometimes you see them, like the Montessori school will make them to understand that you have to lay your table before you eat. They lay their table mat, use that table trail, then they place their meal on the trail. Now, without me as a teacher telling them, as soon as you are done, it is meal time, go and pick up. No. Once it is meal time, they say their prayer. The next thing they know is to go pick their trail. And listen to me. The shocking thing is that they don't pick their trail rushing to go pick it. You will get to hear a Montessori child telling you, take turns, take turns, take turns. Don't rush, don't rush. Do you understand it? That's why Maria Montessori said it is good for us to be a deep observer. Learn to be a prepared agent, not the controlling one. I love Montessori. It helps to build the totality of the child. The children themselves, they'll be telling you, take turns, don't rush. And you see them lining up to pick their table mat, to lay their table. Next, they go to pick their tray, to place on the mat. Next, they go and pick their lunch bag, dress the table, say their prayer. And they don't just pick and say their prayer. They wait for everybody to dress, to lay their table, and uniformly, and all together, they say their prayer, rather. Together. They say their prayer without me saying, say your prayer. No, they already know. Okay? So that's why Maria Montessori, since she's a deep observer, she understands that children are naturally disciplined and they are naturally intellectual. Okay? So that's why we must have respect for those children. When you let them speak, when you let them do things they want to do, but let them understand that there is limitation to things they can do. You will help to build that self-confidence in that child. Okay? Now let's go straight to looking at Montessori. Okay, we've talked about Montessori versus the traditional aspect, which the traditional system is where myself and some of us found ourselves when we were schooling. And that was the method which Maria Montessori did not really key in into the education system. That traditional system is that system that will tell you, listen to me, the teacher do more of the talking, and while you do the listening, without minding the fact if the child is prepared or not. The teacher gives command and you obey without any questions. Who are you to question your teacher that year? Okay? Is that type of system, the traditional system is that type of system that has to do with reward and punishment, for heaven's sake. Maria Montessori will only tell you you can do better and encourage that child. She does not believe you can force that child to do one or two things. You can talk that child into doing it. Not yelling at the child. You can talk that child respectfully to do what you want the child to do. Okay? And so, for me, hope we are learning one or two. And after this series for today, I'll also apply all this philosophy of Maria Montessori. Okay? Now, she went further talking about independence as the goal. The goal of Maria Montessori is not obedience, but it is independence. Okay? A true Montessori child should be able to say, I can do it myself. Okay? Okay. For instance, we are done with the day's work, and you, as a teacher, it is normal for you to give the child take home. And when the child takes this thing home, the child should be confident enough to sit and do justice to that homework you are giving to the child. I am talking about a child between 3 to 6 years. Okay? That still have that inner teacher in them speaking. Okay? That child should be able, Maria Montessori believed that that child should be able to say, I can do this thing myself. Okay? And so she believed the child should do things in your presence confidently and also do things in your absence confidently. She also believed the child should be able to think independently without waiting for you. Oh, the homework has been given to me. This is the page. Okay, let me do justice to you. Okay, earlier in the class, my teacher said this and this gives me this. The child should be able to put on his or her thinking cap and do justice to that thing without your watch. Okay? And she also believed that the child should be able to make decisions. No waiting for my teacher. Okay, my teacher isn't around. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It's time for lunch. I don't know if I'm to take my meal or not. You have groomed that child to that point when the child knows that once it is lunchtime, the next thing I do is to pick up my table mat, pick up my table tray, and take my meal. And before I take my meal, I should be able to say my prayer. And do I just say my prayers? I need to wait for my friends to also dress the table and we'll say the prayers together. That's what Maria Montessori called independence in the child. Montessori is very interesting, like I said earlier, and it has also helped me on how to deal with my child or children under my watch as a Montessori. Now let's look at the prepared adult. The prepared adult and the controlling adult. Now, I'll say to us from my experience while in the traditional system, I do more shouting, I do more talking, I do more yelling, and it is energy consuming. It is energy consuming for an adult that is not prepared. Now, how do you know an adult that is not prepared? How do we know a controlling adult? How do we know a prepared adult? No, a prepared adult is that one, okay? Is that one that observes. I've been laying emphasis on observing your child. That's the only driving force you can use to win a child. No child learns at the same pace. Child A might be that type that wants to learn after the assembly. After the assembly, while child B might be that type of child that wants to learn maybe after he or she has gone for short break. Okay? You have to be observant. Now, that is a prepared adult for you. Before you start anything, look at that child mood, understand why is it that sometimes you yell at any of your learner when learning is going on. I say right, you are not right here. I say right. That's because you've not observed the child, if the child wants to write or not. Or if the child wants to work with material or not. We have to be observant. Okay? We have to be observant when it comes to this little creature. Not only in lower primary, not only in nursery, not only in all sessions in school. We must be observant. Now, another prepared adult is that one who is patient in class, who can exercise patience in class, who can endure or tolerate those children excesses. They can be a handful, believe me. Yes. So many of them under one class want to do many things at the same time. But you have to let a child to understand, okay, darling, you want to do this now? You want to do this now? Okay, it's not better. What about if we work with this now and later we'll go back to this? Is that okay? Now, you see the respect I give to that child, talking to that child becomes calm and listen to me. And the child is like, okay, Let's work with this one. But later you allow me work with that. Yes. Now when I bring out the material I want to work with immediately, the material, one thing about Montessori material is this: it attracts the child's attention to learning. Remember, the child does not want to work with that material. But when you bring it, they are so colorful. Okay? They are so colorful that it can capture any child's attention at any time. Now, when the child sees that material, the child will forget the next one he or she wants to work with, and the child start listening to you, to that one that you want to deliver at that moment. You can see without yelling with the child, sorry, without yelling at that child, I was able to win the child to my own lesson I want to deliver at that point in time. Now, that is a prepared adult. Now, another prepared adult is that adult that knows when to step back. Okay, okay. Seems this child wants to do one or two, wants to say one or two. Listen, relax, and let that child tell you what's she wants to say. Okay, so that's a prepared adult for you in the whole world, at home, anywhere. Does not talk much. What she does, she observes. What she does, she's patient to tolerate the child. What she does, she knows when to stop and when not to stop. Now, let me tell you one honest thing. Many classroom problems are not just the child problem. They are adult problems. You see that tune that you use in class, that tune, that I tune, you understand? The I tune you use in the class is one of the problems. The impatience is one of the problems. The too much energy you put, I say you should stay here, is the problem. And the child will start preaching. Each time you come close to the child will check. Thereby, you are distracting that child's mind from learning, because the child will become scared in class, might choose to keep mute in class, not because the child is quiet, but because of your attitude. So learn to be a prepared adult, where the child, where you do less talking than observing the child, where you are so calm, patient enough to tolerate their excesses in class. Now let's talk about the controlling adult. The controlling adult is that adult that makes too much noise, that talks too much. That controlling adult is that adult that will not enter the class and say, okay, take note of those children. Hey, darling, why is your face like this? What happened to you? Why are you dull? Why are you not happy? Why are you this happy? Why are you this active? Do you understand? Find time to chat a little bit with them. Understand their mood if they are ready or not. It's necessary in the Montessori environment, and it's advisable this thing is channeled into the traditional system. Okay? Montessori goes beyond colorful material, all this thing. Please, you have to listen to the child, respect the child, view the totality of that child, and make sure you are a prepared adult for your learning. Okay? And who is that controlling adult today? That controlling adult is that person that corrects constantly. I have told you before, don't do this, and you are still doing it. Hey, darling, you will get exhausted before the end of the day. Okay? You will get exhausted before the end of the day. You are done with your lesson. It's not advisable you put one or two educative cartoon for them to watch while you keep minding your business. Oftentimes people pass by my class and they'll be like, sorry, teacher Patience, are there no learners in your class today? And I'll be like, I'll open my door and tell them, look at it, they're all complete in class. And when they come, they'll see them watching some educated content. Keep them going. That's because I was prepared for that day. And each of my lessons, do you know what I do? Each of the cartoon must carry my lesson I want to deliver for that week or the one I have delivered. You see the concept? Each of the cartoon I'm going to be playing for those children will be a cartoon that has the topic I want to deliver for that week or the one I have delivered already. So often then when I play it like that, they'll be like, oh, that's Joseph. Oh, that's fraction free. Oh, do you understand? And if it is one that I've not taught them and I play it for them, when it is time for that lesson, they will be the one teaching me. Learning has taken place without me shouting because I have been prepared for that day. Do you understand me? And so I do not need to shout like a controlling adult. I don't need to start giving command before they move. They already know the next step to take. Okay, so that problem in your class is not the child's problem, it's your problem. Okay, so you have to look into it and manage your class properly. That's what Maria Montessori is trying to tell us. Now, let me leave you people with some deep insight. You often you don't sit and ask yourself why Montessori children behave differently from traditional children or other children. They act differently because they often show more focus. Those material drags their attention. Oh, today is this lesson. Let's see what my teacher has for us. Because they know I'm not going to bully them. They want to, that's it with my learners. They want to know the next lesson. You see them, oh, teacher patients, are we going for adults to learn? Are we learning in the class? Is it table exercise? Is it floor exercise? They are eager to learn. While in the other system, you get to hear, hey, my teacher is in class today. We're about to start the person. She's going to deal with me. No, the Montessori child will call your attention to the lesson. Oh, teacher patients, we've not done numeracy today. What's going on? That's a child in nursery 2 speaking to me like that. Okay? That's a child in nursery 2 speaking to me that way. The mind is prepared because they have a prepared adult around them who respects them, who listens to them when they want to talk, who corrects them in law. Okay? And so they often think differently because they pay more attention, they show more focus, they show more independence. I know I told you my children go to pick their tray and lay their table all by themselves, not me helping them as a two child. Okay? Those things are not magic. It is because they are respected. Okay? All those behaviors, all those things they put on, it is never magic. It is because they are respected. They were never yelled at. They were never humiliated when things go wrong. They are called in love and they are corrected in love. Okay? Now, they are not constantly controlled. Not constantly controlled. Stand up, sit down, get out, go out. They are spoken to in love. It matters. Okay? They are given meaningful work to work. Okay, they are given meaningful assignment to work on, rather homework rather. Yes. Okay, they are given meaningful work to do. Okay, I'm talking about rock, and there's a picture of rock in the book as a take-home. Can you tell me what you observe about the rock? Can you tell me where to find the rock? Because the child sees the picture, the child remembers one or two places I have told the child you can find rock and the usefulness of rock. That's a nursery 2 child. Okay? Now, the environment supports the child. That is why they behave differently. A Montessori child, a Montessori environment is always prepared. All materials kept well for each subject or curriculum area. And the child knows where to pick those material and know where to return them. Okay? So as an adult, we have to be intentional in all we do. We have to be intentional. Okay? So Montessori is not something you switch on in the classroom. It is something you carry in your tune. It is not something you just venture into. It's something you must let to be part of your life. It is not just a method. It is something that should sink down into you and become part of your life. It is something you should learn to carry in your tune. It is something you have to carry up here in the aspect of observing those children, the aspect of talking to them. Okay? It is something you have to carry, like I said, in your tune every day. Okay? It is something you you are expected to deliver to those children. Okay? So Montessori is not something you switch into, it's something you have to carry in every part of you. So today I'll be leaving you with this. If you change the way you see the child, if you change the way you see the child, you will change the way you treat that child. If you change from the way you see a child, you will change from the way you treat that child. That is, if you have observed that child, your treatment to that child will be quite different entirely. And if you now change from the way you treat the child, it goes a long way for the child. It helps to change the future of that child. Okay? So that's why the Montessori child acts differently completely from every other child around. So Montessori is not just a method, it is a way of life. So thank you for being with us today. Over to Mr. Lokwe Albert. Thank you for having me on today's show. I am so super glad to be part of this program. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I believe that we cannot agree less that today was fire. Hey, it was so loaded. Yeah, and in fact, if you're new in the Montessori thing, you're new when it comes to understanding the Montessori methodology, I'm sure you've been able to pick one or two, in fact, a lot. And you can hear her speak with passion. You can hear her speak from experience. It's been quite a very interesting session, loaded. It's just for the network issues here and there. And I believe that we will understand with us, because next week I believe that it's going to be better. Yeah, we're in Nigeria, so sometimes those things happen. Thank you so much. And please, if you have your questions, we have just about 3 minutes to respond to them. If you have questions, you can drop them, or something that you are taking home today, something you are taking with you to your classroom. Even if you have not started the Montessori methodology in your school, or you something that you feel that, oh, I'm going to start doing this with my child, I want you to send it to the comment section. I want to see that you actually learned something today. All right. And if we have questions, we're here. Miss Patience is ready, to answer your questions. Yeah, Ma, you were saying something. Hello, Ma, can you hear me? All right. So if you have questions, we are here to answer those questions. And from what she said today, you can see that it's not about teaching, is not about control. Teaching is not about force. Teaching comes, learning, teaching should come naturally. From the teacher to the child, it should come naturally. Learning should be something. Learning is every day, right? And if you see from some of what she said, she talked about respecting the child. You are respecting the child's personality. You are not, like you heard her say things like, it depends on if the child is a fast learner, a slow learner. You have to understand and respect them, and that is it. So we're going to call it a wrap today because we don't want to use more than 1 hour, and we're not seeing any questions popping up. I want you to join us next week. This program, this live session is Inside Montessori with TOLULOPE, brought to us by Datolumai Montessori International. And like I said earlier, my name is TOLULOPE and I'm going to be your host. And this is going to be a Sunday thing, same time. So if you are just watching the record after, you just saw it after, or you just came across it, I want you to know it's going to be a Sunday thing, and we're going to be bringing Montessorians who understand what Montessori is and who are practical. I mean, they are practicing it, who are experts in the field, who have gone through proper Montessori training and not just trying to scratch the surface. And from his patients, you are able to see that it's actually efficient. For her, it's efficient. How she was able to journey from being a traditional teacher to being a Montessorian. But one question I want to ask you, Miss Patience, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Hello? Yes. Now, one question
Loud
I want
and
to ask you
clear.
is that now you've been a Montessorian for how long?
For 3 years now, 3 years plus.
Yes, yeah. So what can you say is something, what is it worth it? Is it worth the transitioning to you as a person and to the children you've been handling?
Yeah, a whole lot. And I never regretted venturing into this Maria Montessori world. Now, like the last aspect that I was talking about, the controlling adult and the prepared adult. Now, I'll say I was more of a controlling adult when I was in traditional system. Coming to the class, hey, sit down there. Oh, will you keep your mouth shut? It's time to write. A lot of energy is without the day, without doing anything for that day, I'm already getting weak. Okay? But in the Montessori system, it's not like that. You get to see even the environment itself will trigger that child. It's time to learn. So I do less talking in this side of education system now. I do less talking. The child do more of the movement, and they are always eager to know the next thing. Okay, so it gives me less work to do in the class compared to when I was in church. I can never go to the church classes. I won't, not even for
Whoa!
millions. I won't.
Wow!
Ah,
Wow,
no,
you
no, no,
can
no,
see,
not,
man. You
not.
can see.
No,
I'm always excited
it's
when I
what.
see teachers transitioning. Yeah, I'm always excited. You know why? Because I always see that going for a proper Montessori training is more like a change of mindset. It's not just about the knowledge. When you get to see that, whoa, these things I was taught is actually working, and you are also, how do I say, you relent. You had to restructure your mindset, and that has really made you to develop yourself in order to work with the child. Working with children is not that simple, right? It's, some people feel it's just about controlling, giving instruction. That's not teaching. It starts with you as a person. It starts with you as a teacher. And I'm excited that you have actually seen that miracle inside of yourself and also with your children from every discussion we've had with us today. Yeah, it's 4 minutes past time, and I don't want to take our time. Once again, we want to appreciate Miss Patience. I hope if we call you again, you're going to answer us.
Sure. Sure.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And we've learned a lot.
You're welcome,
And
ma'am.
please, to our viewers, I want you to tell somebody about this online program, I want to tell somebody about it, especially someone you know is having a confused mindset about Montessori, or someone you know that wants to know more when it comes to working with children. Uh, as regards the Montessori approach to teaching them, or a parent that you know is actually having issues with their children and they really need a solution right now. This program is going to bring a solution like immediately, because knowledge is power. The information you have is the driving force for your life. So thank you also to our viewers who are live with us, and I believe that we are taking home a lot, and I hope to see you next week Sunday, same time, 7:30, between 7:30 and 8:30, and bringing your questions and bringing somebody. Thank you, ma'am. Miss Precious, thank you. We love you. We appreciate you for your time. And we believe that the more you are working, the blessing of God will continue to be upon you and upon your heart. I'll see you again next week. You have a
Amen.
wonderful time. And greetings to the family, ma, and everyone